D-Lo 404 Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC. Shout out to Marlowe's Corner and the whole block fam. So I want to give my take on the Errol Spence Jr. Shwan Porter unification bout. I happen to be on Marlowe's Corner. I was actually on the panel during that particular fight. Had a blast over there. If you hadn't subscribed to the corner, to Marlowe's Corner, go over there and subscribe. Big fat shout out to Trey X. Caught the frog out of well, did a phenomenal job calling the whole card, but especially that main event. And if you're not going over there tuning in on fight night, listening to Trey X blow-by-blow commentary, you're missing a treat. All right, about the fight. You know, I'll be the first to admit that I was one of those guys that felt like Shwan Porter would eventually get stopped. I didn't think he would get knocked out. I figured it would be a corner stoppage or a ref would wait the fight off. I felt that at some point Shwan Porter would wear down, run out of ideas, and that would be when Errol Spence just, you know, would keep the pressure on and eventually get him to stop the fight. That didn't come close to happening. So I was wrong in that assessment, wrong in that prediction. But I tell you what, I'm glad I was wrong, because we were treated to 12 rounds of action, and it's a great contest, highly contested, very, very competitive and close rounds. You know, I will say that I was on the panel with some of the guys were in and out. Like Marlowe was actually at the fight, so he wasn't exactly able to just stay on with us. He pop in and out. I think main boxing biker was he was actually at the theater watching the fight, so of course he couldn't just stay on and talk and give his assessment round by round. But I think the guys that were actually watching the fight and you know, basically scoring the rounds as we saw it when it was going on was you know, of course Trey X was doing a blow-by-blow commentary, so he typically doesn't score the rounds while he's doing that. He typically kind of, you know, defers to the panel, and he'll give his opinion if he has time at the end of everybody else going. But typically, unless there's a lull, he typically doesn't say who he thought won the round, other than what he says during the calling of the action. I mean, you know, so there was El Fenici on there, Rough House Boxing TV. There was BFTV Boxing. Myself, Legendary Top Cats, and like I said, Maine and Marlowe were popping in and out. And I think that was it. I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. If I am, forgive me. But anyway, the whole point is, so there was, you know, diverse group of guys all watching the fight, you know, from, you know, comfort of our own homes or wherever. But you know, we all saw the fight, with exception. I want to say El Fenici saw the fight close. I think he felt like it was a, you know, 7-5 type of fight, you know. But the rest of us, during the course of the fight, I think, you know, we probably collectively gave Shwan Porter 4 rounds at most, which is only 1 round different from what El Fenici saw. So, you know, and in a close fight like that, you know, it's understandable. I mean, those were some very close competitive rounds. Like one of the rounds that, you know, were clearly won, that were like, you know, there was non-debatable in my opinion, was the 4th round by Shwan Porter, and in my opinion, the 10th and the 11th and 12th by Errol Spence, and maybe a couple more here and there that I felt like Errol won clearly. But I mean, and maybe that's one other round, to be honest. So I mean, there were a lot of swing rounds in that fight that could have went either way. So it's not a fight that, in my opinion, the uproar and, you know what I'm saying, hooping and hollering about bad scorecards from the judges is warranted. Just because, like I said, there were so many close rounds, and depending on what a judge likes, that's what they're gonna go with. I mean, I did take exception to Larry Hazard Jr. scorecard, which was wide for Porter, but at the same time, I mean, even that, you know what I'm saying, if he liked, you know, Porter's aggression more than he liked Errol Spence's precise body work, which is what I favored in the fight, was the body attack of Errol Spence, which I felt was winning him rounds. But someone else could see the fight and say, no, I like Porter's coming forward with his aggression, his pressure. I'm gonna give him those rounds because I see Errol Spence giving some ground, whereas I'm looking at the body work and I'm looking at Shwan Porter holding at times to try to stop the body work, and I'm also looking at Porter being knocked backwards. I can't remember what round it was. It was like by a jab with a straight left hand in the corner, and I felt like that alone won Errol the round. But someone else might. That combined with the other, body work and stuff that went on, but I thought that punch sealed the round. Where someone else may feel like that was a shot where Porter was, just off balance and not necessarily feel like it was a big shot. So, it's all subjective. It's all up to what you particularly like. None of us are professional judges. None of us claim to be. We're just fans of the sport we love, and, we want to support it. But my whole thing is, when you're treated to a fight as great as that fight was, and it brought so much attention to the sport. I mean, I was at work and people that have never said anything to me about boxing, like one of my vendors that came in, actually asked me yesterday, did I watch the fight the weekend? You know what I'm saying? Even other people who, know that I like boxing, like, hey man, I caught that fight on over Buddy's house, blah, blah, blah. It's a pay-per-view fight. This isn't like they would just turn the TV on ESPN and saw the fight. So in that regard, that's a fight that got people who usually aren't very interested in boxing interested, partially because of the build-up and because of the unification and, whatever else they may have heard going in. So my whole point is, when you have a fight like that brings attention to the sport, the last thing we need to do as fans of the sport, avid fans of the sport, is for us to be the voice that people are hearing, going out saying the scorecards were atrocious, and things of that nature, because part of what turned a lot of people away from boxing anyway is because they feel like boxing is a corrupt sport. There's no legitimacy when it comes to the scoring, and things of that nature. They think that there's a lot of drug cheats in the sport. They also, green deaths have turned people away from the sport of boxing in the past. So, in that regard, all I want to say is, I just want to wrap it up in saying that, we were treated to a treat, a phenomenal fight, and honestly, at this point, even after having a couple days to think about it, I can't be mad at any of the scorecards that came out. Even Larry Hazard Jr.'s card, just because a lot of those swing rounds that early on I myself was giving Porter, they very well could. Giving Spence, they very well could have went to Porter. So, in that regard, that would have Porter up wide. If Porter won, over half of the first 6 rounds, and say he won 4 of the first 6, whereas I only had him winning 1 of the first 6. But they were all close rounds. There were no rounds that were just like clearly dominated by any guy, other than the 4th round by Porter. So, I'm not going to be one of those guys running around, crying about the scorecards or criticizing, because especially for an event that put this many eyes on the sport of boxing, I think it gives boxing a black eye if we're going to run around toting that banner saying that the scorecards were atrocious. At the end of the day, I feel like the right man got his hand raised, and I think ultimately that's what really, really matters. And as far as the fight, it was a phenomenal fight, and it's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing again. But I also want to see, Spence in another unification bout. And I'm not mad at the Danny Garcia fight, even though I'm mad at the way Danny Garcia behaved when he was asked about him fighting Errol Spence in the past. But that said, if we get the fight, I think that also could be another good fight. But ultimately, like everyone else, I want to see the Terrence Crawford, Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr. fight, because it's past time for that fight to happen. And if they keep putting the fight off, it's going to lose luster, or one of these guys is going to end up looking bad or getting beat, and the fight's not going to be as big as it would have been, And one of these guys may not even be you know, in the shape that he would have been in going into that fight had they went ahead and had the fight. So that's all I got to say on it. This D-Lo 404 Boxing. Once again, shout out to the LDBC. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.